Today, let's take a quick look at basic theater makeup application. We're going to take a look at it from several different perspectives. We're going to use street makeup as well as actual theater makeup, and we're going to do a men's or female versus a male look. All right, so the first thing you're going to do, no matter what type of play you're in or production, you're going to protect the costume. You can take a towel or something to be able to protect the costume. You're going to drape it around shoulders, neck, and you're going to tuck it in around the costume. This is going to help prevent makeup getting on the edge of the costume. All right. Then once you've protected your costume, the first layer you're going to apply is base. You have two options. If we're using theater makeup or an oil base or pancake style makeup, we're using oil base today, specifically a Tan Rose by Ben Nye. And we're going to take one of our little triangle sponges and we're going to get that loaded up. And we're going to start from the center of our face and apply outward, generally starting around the nose area. You want to make sure you get all of this area around the eye. And you want to make sure if you're not double dipping, unless it's yours, you're not double dipping, you're using a blank new side of the sponge every time that you go in, or a different sponge. Okay? And you're going to cover all of the area all the way around. There's two different ways that you can do this. One way is to cover the face just to the edge and around the jawline and then blend down, which is what we're going to do today. The other option is to go all the way down to the edge of the costume, and if you're doing that, you want to go an inch below where the edge of the costume ends. That way, if something moves or shifts, you don't have exposed variation of skin tone. So we're going to continue going all the way down here. When you get to the eye area specifically, you want to make sure you go through and maybe a little against your eyebrow just to make sure that you don't leave any white streaks there. The other places to watch are the corner of your mouth and around the edge there, and on your eye. Trying to make sure we don't have any white line here, and in order to get underneath, we want to look slightly up while we apply so we can make sure there's no white line underneath those bottom lashes. Okay, once we've done that, we'll blend, but before we do that, we're going to use some street makeup for the other side. So if you have got a liquid or foundation, you can still use either your fingers or a sponge again. I'm going to use our sponge, put just a little bit on. And then I'm going to apply it the same way, starting in the center to top and blending out. And again, a little bit goes a long way. You're far better off with theater makeup, as with regular makeup, to apply a little bit and have to put another layer on than to apply too much and try and take it off. This often leads to smudging and an unclear look. One other place to watch is at the corner of the nose, making sure you really get in that crease to not leave a white mark there either. All right, once we've applied our base, we need to blend our base. When we're talking about the top of our head, we're talking about the hairline. You can kind of see I've got a white line there. So we're going to take the same sponge we were using and we're going to pull it up into our hairline, and you can see it visibly disappear. So you're going to blend that in. You can also use your fingertips. Just be aware you will then have makeup on your fingers and you have to be careful of your costume. We're going to do that all the way around, blending up to this part of the ear as well. And then once we get, with our liquid makeup, same thing, or our street makeup, blending up and in, all the way over. When we get to this area in the chin, because we're not covering the entire body, or all the way out of the costume, we're going to blend it there as well. So we're going to take our sponge, we're going to very carefully pull down the color. You can see it coming down, but we want to kind of blend it out or fade it out, making sure that we don't miss spots. For men in particular, the Adam's apple area can tend to create lines, so be careful of that. So we're going to blend that out until it fades into our natural skin tone, creating just a gradient or grade or ombre, as you wish, whatever you wish to call it. And generally you want that to end somewhere around here, again, dependent on your costume. Once we've done this, the next step we're going to do is we're going to deal with our eyeliners. And we're going to say that this is our men's side and this is our male or our female side, and we'll show you the differences between those. With your pencil, you want to make sure that you have a sharp pencil. So if it's not sharpened, you're going to sharpen it. And then you want to take the cap and actually stick it on the back end. You don't want to just lay it on the table or the counter. This is going to give you a little more balance and control. We're going to take and very carefully pull slightly on the outside of the corner of the eye. We're going to cover 2/3 of the eyelid. Not all the way in, just 2/3. Or if you're looking at your eye a little bit, so you can see how it kind of ends right about where my eye, the center of my eye ends. So if that's a judge point for you when you're looking forward, you can try and make it as smooth as possible. And try to not leave, see that white line there, we're going to try and not do that. Okay? Alright, on the female side, we're going to pull that line out to about here and leave it. Not quite the same as a wing, we don't want to like taper it off necessarily. And then on the bottom, we're going to start at the halfway, or you can kind of see it's about where the center of my pupil is. And also come out. And notice I'm going to leave a gap here. And this will look much neater with a mirror instead of using a phone camera to do this. Okay. And we leave that gap. On the male side, we're going to do the same 2/3 on top, 1/2 on bottom. All right. But we're going to connect those lines, and I'll show you what the difference looks like. Give me just a second here. So similarly, 2/3, working my way out, trying to stay as neat as possible, and not leaving a white streak. And notice I didn't pull that out, I just went right there to the corner. Half. And we're going to connect those here at the corner. What this does is it opens the eye a lot more on the female side, whereas this does not. Okay, give me a minute to clean that up. Your base is kind of, or your foundation is called base in theater, is your eraser. So like I'm going to erase those corners because I didn't like them. And give me just a second to look in the mirror and fix that. So again, you can kind of see how it opens up the eye just a little bit on this side to have that unconnected. So that's what we're going to do with our eye lines. We have our female and our male. Eyebrows. For the female, you're going to shape it just like you would normally, depending on if you were looking for a certain shape or style in your play, and you're going to go in the direction of the brow. Following, generally speaking, the natural brow that you have, brow shape. Generally, they're going to be thinner and more shaped for female. On the male side, we want a good masculine, almost bushy brow. So we're going to go against the eyebrow here, go backwards, and that's going to push those hairs up and just give that slightly bushier, fuller appearance. All right. And then we can kind of fill into the degree that we want. Okay, and you can kind of see the difference that makes as well. And you don't really, you can gently brush a little bit, but you really don't want to push those down. You want those to stay up. So we have protected our costume, we have pancaked or based, and then we have done eyeliner and eyebrows. The next thing that we're going to do is highlight and shadow, particularly our nose. This is something that disappears or washes into our face, so we want to add a little bit of highlight and contour. For women, for female, we're going to use just our highlight. So we're using the Ben Nye Cream Natural Highlight here. Let's see if it'll pick that up. Nope. There we go. And then we're going to take one of our sponges again. We'll take just the tip on the side, so like this. And again, no double dipping. If you need more, switch sides. Some of those things. If you take and look at your nose, we want approximately here where our eyes cross and where our nose dips in the most to the tip right here. We do not want to come down here. We do not want to go up here. But we're going to take that highlight and we're going to just You can kind of see where the light falls here and a little bit here where I've got shadow here. We are literally following those lines as guidelines, and we're going to fill that in. And that's going to bring the tip of our nose out, or the top rather, okay? And one of the things you can do, you do not want to go beyond that. That'll widen your nose, and we don't want that. So we're going to maybe just brush our fingertip here, and again, similar up here, make sure we don't go beyond where we're aiming, all right? And it does not, you don't necessarily have to really blend this. It's just going to be what it is. We don't want a stark white line, but you can kind of see how it already is popping that out just a little bit. Now that is for female. For male, we're also going to use shadow. We want a bigger, bolder nose. So we're going to put in some shadow, particularly we're using the Ben Nye Cream Shadow in dark brown. And looks like this. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to take the other side of our sponge, put a little bit on. Okay. And we are going to try to hit right on that edge where our highlight ended. And then we're going to blend it down to where the nose makes a triangle and hits our face. So we're going to go like this. Okay. And then I'm going to take the flat side that hasn't been used yet, and I'm just going to blend that down. And I do not want to go beyond where my nose hits the rest of the face. But you can kind of see how that pulls it out a little bit here. If you end up with it crossing the highlight like I have here, I'm going to go back to the other side and just touch that up. But you can kind of see the difference between this side and what I have going here. This has a natural shadow at the moment, but all right. So you got your shadow. I'm actually going to deepen that just a little bit. And again, we're just adding that definition there. And at no point should you be trying to make this look like natural street makeup. The point of theater makeup is to exaggerate our natural look so that it is visible under the lights. All right, so we have our base. We protected our costume. We have our base or pancake. We have our eyeline and brows, and then we have our shadow and highlight. Now, the two remaining things are our cheek color and our lip color. There are several options you can use. If we're using theater makeup, you may be using a stick version of a lipstick or a cheek color. You may also be using a palette like this. If you're using a palette to apply cheek color, I'm going to take one of these little sponges. I'm going to roll it slightly so I have a little rounded portion. And we're going to use that to apply. For the female side, we're going to use our brighter pink, coral, or reds. For the male, we're going to use more of our neutral, these three neutrals we have going on here. So I'm going to use this right here. So let's use our pink. And when we apply this, for the female side, we want to apply from the apple of our cheek or the center, and we're going to run it along to the top of our ear. So we're going to follow the line of our cheekbone. So I'm going to put a dot here, and I'm going to kind of dot along the cheekbone. And then I am going to use the back of my sponge to again blend that out so that I don't have just a line, but I have a flow of color. You can kind of see how that is. And if I want it to be starker, I can add a little bit more. Again, it is absolutely always easier to apply a little bit more than to apply less. Okay? Or than to have to take away. So you can always put more on. Taking away is a lot harder. Okay? And again, you want bold cheek color so it can easily be seen. And you can kind of see how that adds a lift to the face by going along that line. For the other side, we're going to use a powder, okay? We're going to use, again, kind of a more of a tan or corally powder, and you want to apply with either a brush, or if you do not have brushes, you can use a cotton ball as well. So let's say I have a brush. I'm going to take and very carefully pat it in to my color. And for men, I'm going to apply from the apple of the cheek or the center, and to go sort of to the middle to lower end of the ear. That's going to be more of a straight line across. Okay, and that's going to kind of give it, again, that sort of starker, more masculine look. And again, depending on what characters you're playing, etc., that can make a big difference as to how you want to apply your makeup. Okay, so you can kind of see how this adds lift and this is just kind of a stark line, if you will. So that's our cheek color. Then for final, we're gonna do our lip color. Again, main difference with lip color is just simply going to be the colors that we would choose. We want a more natural look, more neutral look for a male. For a female, we want a brighter look. So I'm gonna use our bright pink here. And because I'm using a palette, I'm going to use a brush. Again, similarly, unless it is your palette, and even then you want to clean between, I'm going to use a clean brush to apply. Okay, so I'm just dipping in and loading my brush. And I'm just going to fill in my natural lip. And then you're gonna rub your lips together, just to kind of smooth out the color and check for anything, like with any coloring job, making sure you stayed inside the lines. If, however, I'm using a lipstick, similar principle, never share. You make sure that you're either using a clean finger, more likely use a brush, because then you know that the application is clean. So I'm going to take a brush and apply that way. If it is yours, you know you're the absolutely only person to be using it, and you're comfortable doing so, you can take your lipstick and just simply apply. Again, less is more. You can always add more, taking away very hard. Okay, and similarly, you're gonna pinch your lips together. That's just gonna help smooth out the color, and you can go from there. So we have our male side, and we have our female side. And while they're not vastly different in this instance, you can still see a distinct difference between the two applications and what it does for the face. So again, just to backtrack, we're going to protect our costume. We're going to apply our base, eyeliner, eyebrows, cheek color, sorry, back that up, highlight shadow, highlight for women, both for men, cheek color, lip color. The very last thing you're going to do is and this is where you really need to protect your costume, is you're going to powder everything because these are oil-based foundations. We want to make sure we powder everything so that it stays nice and set and it's not going to budge on our face. This helps in case of sweat. This helps in case of just not letting makeup rub off on costumes as much. And just really helps protect everything. But the powder will get everywhere. So you're going to apply the powder with either a nice brush or a powder puff, and then you're going to use a clean brush to brush away any excess powder and making sure everything is as it is. Powder can be reapplied, like if someone sweats quite a bit, it can be reapplied during the show as needed. These are the basics of makeup. For theater application, we have our street makeup and our theater makeup. Theater makeup is generally recommended simply because it helps compensate against the harsh theater lighting. With that, go forth. Good luck.